I think we're good to go. So I appreciate everybody joining us this evening. I know it is some of you it's family time, but for all of us who are entrepreneur, guess what? It's business time. So glad you're here with me. Let's talk about the government contracting world, especially tonight. We're going to talk about what to do in the fiscal year, specifically now that we're in the fourth quarter of the federal market itself. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Let me move a few of these things out of the way, and we're going to dive on in. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about taking advantage of the fiscal buying cycle. In the government space, it's all about the fiscal year. So let me adjust one other thing here. Okay, I think that's fine. So that's what we're going to be covering here. A little about myself. My name is Abraham Shaw. I am the founder of the Government Contractors Association. I've been in the government space for many years now. I love the space here. But I started off, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, just like some of you. Started my first business when I was about 19, 20 years old. It was a baseball card comic book shop. It was funny. Yesterday, I was hanging with my younger brother, and he said that, hey, baseball cards are hot. Basketball cards are hot again. And we were just joking about how things kind of come in cycles. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, the fiscal year cycle. But it's interesting that what I started, many years ago as a teenager is really hot again right now. But he actually has a Kobe Bryant rookie card that's worth about $4,000. So that was pretty exciting in terms of looking at that yesterday, hanging out with them. But what I do is I've taken all my years of entrepreneurship experience and use that to be an advocate for all of you who are small business owners in the government space. And I get to be your voice often in the government space, whether it's about policy work or whether it's about different legislations that may not be supportive of you, but more importantly, being your voice and helping you to get into the government market. So that's what we do here. Founded GCA as a result of that. Now, one thing that I remember, and some of you, as you're trying to understand what the fiscal year is like, until you fully experience it, the fiscal year is a 12-year cycle. And until you fully experience it, you may be thinking like, well, what is it like in this market here? And I remember my first taste of America. I was a young boy, about 6 years old. We were escaping the communist regime of Laos, and we fled, escaped to Thailand, and in the refugee camps, I remember tasting America for the first time, literally tasting America for the first time. And we were in the refugee camps as a 6-year little boy. There was a line of people, and at the end of the line, they were handing out something. And I said, "What is that thing?" And it was a sandwich bag with a brown liquid in it. And I thought, if there's a long line of people, so there must be something good about it. So I stood in line, and finally it got to my turn. And they gave me this sandwich bag with the brown liquid in it. And I remember they said to make a hole. So I made a hole and I drank the liquid. And as it came and touched my mouth and my tongue, it woke every single taste buds up. It was sweet. It was bubbly. It was powerful. It was tingling. It was so amazing. I thought I was tasting liquid gold for the first time in my life. And I said, man, this is amazing. What is this here? Now, if you think you have an idea what that is, put in the chat area what you think I just drank for the first time. Because I'm a jungle boy, straight from the jungles of Laos, never seen the world, tasting civilization, tasting America for the first time. So anybody have an idea of what I tasted? All right, let's see. Oh, someone said Coca-Cola, soda, yes. So imagine an Amazonian tribe that's never seen the world. Well, that was my parents and their generation. We tasted the world, or I tasted the world in that first example right there. And I thought it was Pepsi. And I thought, man, if America was this good, I want to know everything about it. I want to go to America. So that was my first taste of how good America was. And for some of you, you have heard that the government contracting world is rich and powerful and awesome, and it's got lots of money, lots of opportunities here. Well, there is truth to that. But until you taste it for real for the first time, you really don't know how good it is. And so tonight, if you haven't tasted it, my hope is to help you to get a better sense of what the government market is like, what it is like, especially in the fourth quarter, where there is more money during this time than any other time throughout the fiscal year for the federal government market. And we're going to look at the state, we're going to look at the county, and we're going to look at the city, and the commercial fiscal year as well. So that's kind of my first experience of America. And if this is your first experience or first class that you come to in terms of learning about the government contracting world, welcome. If this is your 200th time and you're a pro at this here and you just want to get a better sense of the fiscal year, awesome. Welcome again. So let's continue to dive in here. So from that, I left entrepreneurship and founded the Government Contract Association so that I can teach and train entrepreneurs about how amazing this world is. We've trained over 10,000 companies, helped businesses win over $900 million in contracts. For the work that we've done, we were awarded President Obama's Lifetime Achievement Award, also the Global Humanitarian Award, as well as being named as a Goodwill Ambassador for the state of Georgia. So what you're going to learn tonight, you're going to learn what are the government fiscal cycles from the federal, state, and local perspective. You're going to learn what's the best time to market, build relationship, and sell in the government market. When are KOs or contracting officers more receptive to hear from you? Then we're talking about 10 steps that you need to go through to engage government, from budgeting to forecasting to award. Then we're going to talk about how to take advantage of the fiscal cycles, and from the different perspective as well. And then we're going to talk about many other things, but if you want a copy of this PowerPoint, you can get it through a download. Go to govassociation.org/download if you want a copy of this here. And if you're taking notes or if you have your camera, just go ahead and take a picture of this link. I'm going to continue to go here. We will provide more information at the end for you, for all those of you who are registered. Check your email. There's going to be some more information about today's session, as well as the link again for you later on as well. But I want to share a little story about a young lady just like some of you here. So this is Sheena Parker. She came to a class just like here a few months ago, not too long ago. And she decided that I'm going to take what I learned, I'm going to implement it in the government space. So she started taking some of our classes. And within 4 months, she's in facility management. And within 4 months, she won 5 contracts. And so I'm very proud of what she's done. In fact, she called me. She said, Abe, I don't know if I should take the 5th project because I don't have manpower and I don't have the mobilization capital to get started. I said, no, if you win it, you must make every effort to do it. They may let you out of it, but they may not let you out of it. So it makes you look weak if you don't do it. And so, but she was able to win 5 contracts in a very short period of time. So by paying attention, putting together what you know is going to help you. In fact, I just got off the phone with another young lady. She would just say, Abe, I just want to say thank you for what you guys have done. I was able to take the classes that you guys provided and to implement it for my own business. And she just got an awarded a contract with the USDA, a sole source contract with the USDA for $125,000. So very, very proud of the companies that come and take the classes that you guys are taking. This information can change the trajectory of your business. The information that you listen to. And I would say take away all this distraction. Take away, put your cell phone to the side. Put your TV off. Focus in this next hour or so, and it will be worth your time, I promise you. And you get to implement some of these things here that's going to allow you to go out there and be more successful. If you stay to the end, I want to encourage you to stay to the end. There's only so much I can cover in 60 minutes. I promise to give you everything I can, as much as I can during this time here. If you stay to the end, I've got a surprise for all of you if you stay to the end. Then also, I'm going to show you how you can get a copy of a $20 billion winning proposal. So this proposal here won $20 billion contract. So I'm going to give it to you in Word doc. If you stay to the end, I'm going to show you how to do that. The Government Contract Association, or GCA, is a national trade association comprised of commercial contractors, small and large companies, and government agencies, federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies, government staff, universities, nonprofits, and many other entities out there. Their vision is to create access to help small businesses to get into the government market, to open doors for commercial companies into the government marketplace, and to support government agencies in accessing more qualified contractors. Their mission is to educate, facilitate, and advocate for their members based on becoming the premier government contract association with their 3 pillars. Learn more about the Government Contractor Association at govassociation.org. 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 So let's talk about the fiscal year. What is the government fiscal year? And the fiscal year is the period used by governments for accounting and budget purposes. It's not the calendar year. Fiscal it's a budget calendar. That's what it is. And so it's for accounting purposes. And it's a financial year. Sometimes we call it a financial year. And again, it's not your calendar year. So why should you care? Well, if you have a sales cycle and the government has a buying process and a buying cycle, when you understand that, that's the where that knowledge comes together in the middle. That's how you're going to increase your sales. If you have a buying cycle and you don't understand the government, if you have a selling cycle, the government has a buying cycle, you don't understand how the two works together, you're going to be spinning your wheel, and your chances of success going to be minimized. You can still win, first quarter, you can win contract. You can win contract in the second quarter, third quarter. But most of your contract is going to be won in the fourth quarter. And if you understand what to do in each cycle of this year, it prepares you to maximize your revenue potential. So there's different types of fiscal year. First, there's business fiscal year. And most business is January 1st to December 31st. And then there's the federal fiscal year, which is October 1st to September 30th. And then there's state fiscal year, which is usually July 1st to June 30th. We just ended the most states' fiscal year, which is June 30th, a few weeks ago. Now, 46 states use June 30th as the end of their fiscal year. The 4 states that does not use June 30th is Alabama, Michigan. Alabama and Michigan, their fiscal year ends September 30th, like the federal government. And then New York ends on March 31st, and Texas ends in August 31st. And they all have their own reasons for that, but most states ends on June 30th. And so that's good to know if you're doing business at the state level. So at the state, we're going to start off with the state, and then we're going to shift into fiscal. We're going to spend more time in the fiscal in a second. So with the 46 states, in terms of the first quarter, during the first quarter, they're going to do project kickoff, and they're going to start new projects and so forth. And they're going to plan for what they're going to do next year. During the second quarter, they're going to say, okay, this is when the spending starts to tick up a little bit, and the governor's going to review next year's spending budget. And then during the third quarter, the legislatures review next year's spending, and in the fourth quarter, that's when they do most of their buying in the fourth quarter. Let's talk about local counties and cities. Now, for most local, June 30th is their fiscal year, like the state a little bit. Some of them use December 31st, which is about 37% of local municipalities uses that. The September 30th is 9%, and then miscellaneous other month is about 11 of the different counties out there. Now, who has, if you have to guess, how many counties are out there in the United States? So put your answer in the chat area or in the Q&A area. If you have to guess, how many counties are there in the United States? Any good guesses out there? Now I want to encourage you to participate because at the end I've got a bonus, some a $5,000 bonus for you guys at the end. So and I'm not just teasing you about a $5,000 bonus. It's a real $5,000 bonus. I'm gonna show you. For some of you, you will qualify for it. I'm gonna show you how you can access that. Okay, so I see some people, they said about 16,000, 170,000. Okay, that's a little too much. Some said 3,000, some says 3,200, 3,100. Okay, all right, yeah. So if you say somewhere about 3,000, you're on point. It's a little bit over 3,000 counties in the United States. Texas has the most counties. Texas has about 200 and I believe 259 counties, I think. Georgia, for some of you who live in Georgia, Georgia is number two at about 139, 149, somewhere around there. So Texas has the most. Georgia is number two. Every county has their own fiscal year. So if you're in Georgia, where most of you are from, Georgia has Gwinnett County has a buying cycle and has a fiscal year. Cobb County has a buying cycle, a fiscal year. Fulton County has their own fiscal year, their own buying year, and some of them are the same and some of them are different. So everybody is different. And so if you want to do business at that local municipality, at the county level, or at the state, or at the city level, now there's over 35,000 cities. If you're talking about cities, official cities, and cities that are unincorporated, you're talking about 35,000 cities and districts like that. Well, everybody have their own fiscal year. And so now it's up to you to figure out, okay, if I want to do business with City of Los Angeles, I need to understand the fiscal year. If I want to do business with Chicago, I need to figure out the fiscal year. If I want to do business with New York City, I need to figure out their fiscal year. It prepares you to better know what to do during that time of the year with them. There's a time to market to them. There's a time to build relationship. There's a time to just submit bids. And so if you do it, it's always time to submit bids, right? But there's time where you focus more on just submitting bids and not necessarily on build relationship. Contracting officer usually does not have time to have meetings in terms of relationship building outside of a certain time frame. So we'll talk more about specific of those things in a second. All right, so in terms of the business fiscal year, uh, you as whether you're a small business, mid-sized, or large company, you have your own fiscal year. For most everybody, fiscal year for businesses is the calendar year, and our financial year budget or our financial year is the same thing as a calendar year. But with publicly traded company, 65% of them use the fiscal year is the same thing as a calendar year. But the other 35%, they have their own fiscal year. And each one of them is very different. And it depends on the industry that they're in. But for 99% of all small businesses, we use the calendar year, which is December 30th, 31st, which is the end of our calendar year. It's also the end of our fiscal year. Now, for different industry, their fiscal year is different. So let's talk about retail stores. Now, retail store, their fiscal year is February 1st to January 31st. Now, give me some feedback. Tell me why you think that the retail market, the fiscal year starts February 1st. Why not November or December 1st, where they're going to have the most money, right? Why February 1st? Why did they start their fiscal year? Let's see. Any good answers out there? Some of you sell things, right? Some of you're in the retail market. Okay, so someone says Christmas accounting. They want to account for all the money that is earned in December. Yeah, uh, but why? But that's December. Why not January? Right? Because they could end December 31st. because most of all of the major spending is done by the December 31st. So why not December 31st, which is a typical calendar year, right? All right. So someone says the buying cycles after Christmas. Yep. Since there's so much business comes in during the holiday. Yeah. Is it because of all the money has been spent for Christmas? No one has money in January. Yeah, we all go in debt just to buy presents. There's some truth to that. Holiday sales, yes. Returns, yes. Mark, you're right on point. So they don't end it in December because that's where all of the revenue comes in. Is November to December. Late October, November, December, that's where most of the money is made. But they don't end it in December because January is when people goes and return things. Like, oh, this didn't fit, or the gift wasn't, people didn't like the gift, or those who received the gift, they had a receipt, so they go back and return it and get something different. They do their retail stores do the fiscal year at the end of December because that's when most of the returns happen. So you have this huge spike in sales, and then you have this huge spike in returns. And so they want to make sure that they capture both months. And if they don't do that, it will make them look like we made a lot of money, and then boom, we have a lot of losses. And now they can balance the 2 months, December and January, balance the 2 months, and do final reporting at the end of the fiscal year, which is January 31st. So that's the reason. So great point there. All right, so let's continue. Let's talk about school system. So why do you think school system starts July 1st and ends on June 30th? Why do their fiscal year? Like, city school system, county school systems, why do most of them do July 1st? All right, let's see. It's most of the time it coincides with the school year. Absolutely. That's a really great answer. School year ends at the towards May or early June, and so they want their budget to end so that they can come July 1st, they can start to prepare and get things going for the new cycle. So absolutely, that the school year is really the best answer here. So let's talk about resorts. October 1st to December 30th, right? They do this here because they want to capture the summer spending, the summer travel, which ends somewhere in August, September, and now October 1st it becomes the slower season again. And so, if you know this and you're thinking about traveling during September or October, go in October because you're gonna have better rates, and because that's when less people travels at that time. So, yep, some teachers, yeah, some great comments about earlier about the school year. Thanks for that. All right, so let's talk about 10 steps that you must take to engage government buyers. And if you understand these 10 steps here, then I'm going to show you later how these 10 steps matches the 12 steps that you have to go through and how they coincide back to the fiscal year. So the government goes through their own purchasing process, and it usually starts with a need. So step number one is they have a need. We have a problem, we have a pain point, we have a issue, and we have a need. And so when they have a need, they have to, if they don't have money, they have to go and get a budget allocation. Uh, they have to go through appropriation. If it's a lot of money, they have to go to Congress to get appropriation for it. If it's minor, then the department head may have you know some flex budget money to solve it. But they start with a need, and then they have to get a budget allocation for it. Once they go through the budget, then they do a forecast of when they're going to spend that money. And then once the forecast is done, then they have to do a market survey. Now, this is where many of you make the mistake. You're not doing anything in step 1, 2, 3, or 4. You say, I'm gonna wait until step number 5 comes around when it becomes a RFP or RFQ or invitation for bid. So you wait until the solicitation stage, which is step number 5. That's too late. So you really, for you to be successful at this area, you want to start tracking it as early as you can back to step number 1. Now, the young lady that won the $125,000 project with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, she actually went and talked to the Department of Agriculture and talked about a pain point that they have in the urban community, and she gave them a proposal, a solution to a problem that they have, and they awarded her based upon a problem that they have, but they didn't know they have, and she helped them to get the contract. And so they wrote the project specifically for her. So because she identified the need that the agency had, and they gave her the funds to do the work because she started at number 1. Identify the pain point, identify the need. Now, most of you, there is a methodology of how you go about that, whether you do an unsolicited proposal, that's one way to do it. Whether you do you respond to a broad agency announcement through a white paper, there's other ways to do that. But if you want to read more about that, feel free to look at the FAR. FAR 15.6 talks about unsolicited proposal. 15.6. So if you just Google FAR 15.6, it talks about unsolicited proposal. Now, this process is a solicitation process. So unsolicited proposal is where they don't know they have a pain point, or they may know they have a pain point, but they don't know there's a solution out there. That's a different process. When I'm talking about these 10 steps here, I'm talking about where they know they have a pain point and they actually want to buy it from you as a business owner. So they start with a need, budget, forecast, market survey. This is really at the, if you don't get involved in the forecast, budget, or need stage, you must start at number 4. Don't wait until number 5. At the latest, start at number 4. If you wait until number 5, it's public, it's on the street, it's already been written. That proposal or that solicitation was written for somebody already in mind. By the time it hit the streets for everybody to look at, usually the contracting officer has a company in mind already. I know it's not fair, but it's fair to the person that got involved at the need, budget, forecast, market service stage. If you wait until step number 5, it's too late for you. So the sooner you get involved, the better the position that you're going to be in. So in step number 4 is sometimes they call it a sources sought. Sometimes they call it a RFI, request for information. This is the time when you want to engage. Now, usually when if the companies that I work with, I will tell you, all of you who's here today also, that when you're responding to a sources sought or RFI, it's usually very simple, right? This is not a solicitation. This may never become a real solicitation for anyone to bid on. But we are looking for someone to respond to us, and it needs to be 7 pages or less. You need to include your capability statement. You need to include whether you have a GSA schedule. You need to include whether you're women-owned or if you have any other certification, 8A, veteran-owned. And then include 3 references, something very simple like that. Sometimes they want to ask for reference. Include a here's a question and how would you answer this question, and something that's very simple like that, and then you respond to it. Most of you do that and you do it well, but this little secret technique here is where most of you don't do. So what I tell the companies and our members is this here: when you respond to a sources sought, in the email and in your cover letter of the sources sought response, you want to include a statement similar to this here. Very easy, a very simple statement. Dear John Smith, very happy to respond to this sources sought here, but doesn't matter, all that's just fluff. But the key statement is this here: will you consider sole sourcing this here to my 8A company? That's the statement you want to use. will you consider sole sourcing this here to a women-owned business or to my business, which is a women-owned company? You include that statement there. You ask for them to sole source it to your company. In the market service stage, they have the freedom and the ability to do that. If you wait until it becomes a solicitation, they can't do it anymore. By that point, they've chosen which contracting vehicle they want to use, so you won't be able to ask for it at that point. But in the market survey, or even in the forecast, or in the budget, or the need stage, you can ask them to sole source it. Anything from 1 to 4, they have flexibility and freedom to do whatever. Once it gets to number 5, and it's a public solicitation at that point, it's against the law for you to ask anything. That becomes favoritism, or it could become construed as of bribery or many other different things. And so, but in the market, yeah, you can ask. It's okay to ask at that point. So that's really, if you don't get anything out of today's class, understanding the step number 4 or anything before that is when you can openly discuss with a end user or with the contracting officer, say, hey, would you consider sole sourcing this here to my company? It's fine, do that. Now, once it's step number 5, and they put out solicitation, RFP, and you're writing your proposal response, at that point, at that stage there, it's all silent at that point. Now, there is a Q&A, so anything you ask is through a formal process. And then step number 6 is you write your proposal, and then they review it. Step number 7 is they award the proposal, or they award the contract more so. And they have a source review board. Sometimes, if it's a big project, the source review board will be made up of a supervisor, the end user, and the contracting officer. If it's a small project, 200,000, 300, 1 million, anything that's not that big of a project, the contracting officer usually has the authority to choose who they want to award it to, and then the supervisor will just sign off on it. And so again, it depends on the scope of work, how big the project is. Most of the time, it's a very formal process. If it's a big project. Now, if you're dealing at the local level, their process is a little bit different. Usually everything goes through a review board. But the federal level, there's so much needs that the contracting officer has been trained well, and so they have contracting authority up until a certain point. Number 8, the agencies or the buyers, they go through a performance review of the work that you're working on, and then they make sure that you deliver it, provide the products and the services in a timely manner to them. Number 9 is they have compliance, right? They put out, say, hey, we need this report, we need this insurance document, we need this weekly report that you must file with us. And so they make sure that you're in compliance with the regulations. What they ask for, it's up to you to make sure that you're in compliance. And so you submit that to them. And then step number 10 is they have a closure process. They have to take all of the paperwork, all of the documents, every single piece of paper from the beginning all the way to the final payment that's made to you, and they bind all that together, and then they close it away, and they file it away. That's called the closure process. Now, to you, it's easy. You send in an invoice, you get paid. Done. To the contracting officer, this is another important point of these 10 steps here, and this is where many of you make another mistake. Mistake number 1 is you don't respond to market survey and you don't ask for sole source there. Mistake number 2 is during the closure, you don't take advantage of this time here. So how do you take advantage of the closure when you've already done the work and it's just a matter of you invoicing and getting paid? Well, the contracting officer, they have a stack of paper this thick, and they must close that binder up and put it away. Your response to them is you want to make it where it's easy for them. You want to over communicate to them like, hey, the work has been done. I've submitted the invoice. Is there anything else you need so that you can close out this project here? you want to communicate that you are there for them because they have a lot of paperwork to do. You want to make their job easy. And if you make their job easy at the closeout stage, not only because you did a great job performing the work, but they're going to be like, man, this company's awesome to do work with. They did a great job, but man, they submitted all the paperwork I asked for. This document, they gave it to me in 30 minutes. I asked for this document. I told them they have 7 days to respond back to me. They gave it to me in less than 24 hours. You want their job to be easy, and you want to be super responsive during this time here. And that's how they're going to say, you know what? When there is a sole source opportunity, I'm going to get that company to do work on that project there. When there is a small project and it's a micro purchase, I'm just gonna pick up the phone and say, hey, do you want to do this work here? And that's you want to make sure that their job is easy and it's during the closure phase. And if you do a great job, they're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna call Ruben up and say, hey, we've got this project coming up. Do you want to do a sole source on this here? And they're gonna call Misha, they're gonna call Mark. If you do a great job at this stage here, you're gonna be in there because everybody can do work, right? But that's how you make a difference. That's how you make an impression. Is that step number 10 is when they're going through the closing process, make it easy for them. Well, enough said about that. So don't make that mistake. Don't drag your feet in terms of getting paperwork to them. That's where they get frustrated with you, and it becomes an unpleasant project, unpleasant experience. People remember the first time they meet you, and they remember the last interaction they have with you. So you want that last interaction to be positive, and they're going to look out for you the next time. So let's talk about 12 steps that you go through. Because we're talking about the fiscal year, right? The government has a buying process. Well, you have your own 12-step methodology to engage them. So I call this here, this is our proprietary methodology here. I call our 12-step methodology Asarum ROP CC. Asarum ROP CC. It's a rap name, the goddess of government contracting. A is for assessment. And assessment means you have to see where you're at. What are your financial capabilities? If you only have $500 in the bank account, you have a credit card of $1,000. Don't go bid on $1 million project, right? You have to assess where you're at. Maybe go bid on a $10,000 project so that you can handle that and slowly get it started. Assessment is very important in the government market because you don't want to bite off more than you can handle. And then assessment is also critical because if you know where you're at, then you can have a roadmap to where you want to go. Step number 2 is strategy. You got to have the right strategy. For example, the quickest path to winning, the quickest path to getting revenue for the government market. What do you think is the answer? Put it in the chat area, in the Q&A area. I want to see who has the best answer. What is the fastest way to getting revenue in the government market? What do you guys think? The fastest way to getting to revenue in the government market. Let's see what some answers are. Oh, Mark says sole source contract. Tanya says establishing great relationships. Very good answer, but not the best in terms of strategy. Gregory, that's the best answer. Subcontracting. That is the best strategy that you can have in terms of getting to revenue. Now, I didn't say winning a contract. I said getting to revenue in the government market. So partnering with a prime, Natasha, great answer. That's the same thing as being a subcontractor. So when you team up with somebody else, that's the fastest way. That's the best strategy you can have. So if you're newer in the government market, what you want to do is you want to find, even though it could be another smaller company or a larger company, those who are successfully winning contracts in the same industry that you're in. They are required, large companies are required to subcontract 35% of their work to small businesses. That's a regulatory requirement. So every project, usually in the project, it will say on this project here, the government expect that the prime sub out 40% to small business. It will say that the prime must sub out 50% to small business. It tells you, uh, usually on bigger projects, there is that mandatory requirement. And if that's the case, then you being the sub to them is a lot easier than you being the prime. If you're the prime, you have to learn how to speak governese. If you're the prime, you have to learn how to write proposals. If you're the prime, you have to go and build relationships. If you're a sub, you don't need any of those. You just need to say, hey, I'm here. I can do this type of work, and my prices are very competitive. You just need to convince the subcontracting manager, or sometimes it's called the SBLO. Put in the chat area if you know what the SBLO stands for, or maybe explain who that is if you don't know the actual acronym, what it stands for. Sometimes they're called the subcontracting managers. Sometimes they're called the SBLO is their official title at the federal level. They go by another title in the commercial world. Small Business Liaison Officer. Yeah, Natasha just graduated from one of our classes. Yep, Eric, Small Business Liaison Officer. Yeah, absolutely. So at the federal level, there is a Small Business Liaison Officer that every large company must have. They must have. It's not optional. If you're a large company in the government space, you must have a Small Business Liaison Officer, SBLO. Well, that person, in the commercial, we call them the Supply Diversity Manager. It's the same person. In the government world, they're called the SBLO. In the commercial world, Supplier Diversity Manager. And sometimes they don't even know that their title in the government world is called the SBLO. But they're the same person. Subcontracting manager, they may go by the title, they may go by Supplier Diversity Manager, but at the federal level, they also go by the name of SBLO. So when you're engaging in a large company, you say, hey, I'd like to talk to the Supplier Diversity Manager or the Subcontracting Manager or the SBLO. Now, if you actually use the term SBLO and they have that, they actually will think that, oh, this person really knows what they're talking about. And that's actually to your favor. Now, if you're talking to the receptionist says, who is that? And the receptionist says, well, we don't have anyone by that title. Then you explain to them, no, I'm talking about the Supply Diversity Manager. This, oh, okay, I will get you, let me get you to them. But that's the person there, the Supply Diversity Manager, same person. But your strategy is to be a subcontractor because they know how to write proposals. They know how to win contracts. And all you need to do is, hey, I can do this type of work. And then the burden of hard work is on them, and you just show up to do work when they win. So that's a very, very good strategy. And there are many other strategies, but today we're not talking about strategy. This is not a strategy class. This is a fiscal year class, but I have to teach you some of these things here because in a few minutes we're going to tie it all together as it goes back to the fiscal year. Then you gotta have step number 3 is education. You have to invest in learning how to speak governese. Some of you speak broken governese. Some of you, governese is a foreign language to you, and you have no idea how to speak this language. And a few of you, you're really good at this here, and you're fluent. And so you gotta learn how to speak governese. Step number 4 is registration. Getting registered in SAM, getting registered at the state, getting registered at the city, at the county level, getting registered as a small business with a large company in the Supplier Diversity Portal, getting registered in all of these different places. Under registration, it's also getting your certifications, falls under registration, whether it's women-owned, veteran-owned, hub zone. Section 3, getting certified as a Section 3 company. Who knows what Section 3 is and which agency is it with? Put in the chat area. Very few companies have Section 3 certification, and many people don't know what Section 3 is. If you have an idea or your guess, put it in the chat area. What you think the Section 3 certification is, or who's it with? Okay. Vima says HUD, yes, and Natasha said it's with HUD, absolutely. So HUD has what they call Section 8, right? That's a home voucher program. That's for families that are economically disadvantaged, and they can apply for Section 8 housing voucher, but they also have a Section 3 program. Section 3 is a business program. Section 8, housing voucher program. Section 3 is a business empowerment program. And so qualification for Section 3 is very simple. You must hire a certain percentage of businesses or of employees that are in hub or are in low income area. And then you also need to and really that's the main qualification, and then you apply for the certification. So why HUD, right? If you are janitorial, you do cleaning. Well, HUD property needs to be clean. HUD offices needs to be clean. If you do property preservation, if you do roofing, if you are a real estate agent, if you are in asset management, if you anything tied to administrative management, even computer system, right? HUD has thousands of computers out there, millions of of computer equipment, personnel, lots of different. So every agency has a very similar need. And if you want to do work with HUD, you want to get their Section 3 certification. That all falls under step number 4, which is the getting registered. Number 5 is image, creating an image that is worth $1 million. If you want to win $1 million contract, you must have an image that's worth $1 million. If you don't look strong, you're not going to get the contract, especially sole source. Now, here's what I mean by that. Number 1 rule: the government is risk averse. Now, risk averse means this here: the government don't like to take on risks, because if they award a contract to a company that does not perform well, it delays the mission, it delays the fulfillment of the contract, it makes the contracting officer look bad, or the contracting officer can lose their job. So they're not going to look if your image is shabby, or if you have almost no image at all, or if your image is not strong, does not look strong, they're not going to sole source you a contract. If you've been asking for a sole source contract, build a relationship, and you're thinking like, why haven't I won a sole source contract? Well, it could be because your image is not that great. And your image has to do with your brand, your logo, if you're using Gmail or Yahoo or God forbid AOL, right? Any of these things here, if you're still using personal email accounts like that, bad image, right? You want to use a professional email. It should be Natasha at abccorp.com. It should be Tanya at yourcompany.com. And so you want to have a professional. It costs $10 a month to get a professional email address. In fact, for those of you that says, man, hey, that's if you add that up to the life of my business, 10, 12 years, that's a lot of money. You can go to there's websites that you can get it for free. Anybody want to know how to get it for free? Okay, so nobody wants to know how to get it for free. Let's continue. All of you guys, I mean, truth is, investing a few dollars a month is fine. You can use Google Workspace. You can use, if your domain name is with GoDaddy, you can use Outlook with that there, and it costs just a few dollars a month. But if you actually want to get it for free, I'm gonna see here. Okay. Oh, Tanya says how. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna put it in the link here. So the place to get it is called Zoho Mail. ZohoMail.com, and that's how you get it for free. Now, when you go to Zoho Mail, go to the pricing page. At the very top, you won't see it, but you have to go to the bottom of the pricing page, and it will say you can get up to 5 free email accounts with Zoho Mail, professional email accounts. And it guides you to how to sync your domain name with your email and all of that stuff, and it's fine. So that's how you get it for free. So there's a lot of different tools and resources out there in terms of building your business infrastructure so that you look professional. And so this is one way of how you do it, is by first starts off by having professional email account. Your image also has to do with your reputation. Your reputation is important, and so when you're networking and talking to people out there, going to bid matching events, going to pre-bidders conference, going to industry days and so forth like that. Represent yourself well. And so that's all part of your image. And then number 6 is marketing. You gotta market your business, and if you have a great image, then you gotta market your image to contracting officer. There's different ways of marketing. We have a full class on how to market and build your brand and build relationship with the government market. Today's not that time, so I cover marketing from a very high level. Marketing just has to do with email marketing, social media touches, what to do in all of those different places. And let me give you a quick tip about social media. When you engage a contracting officer, they're on social media too. Now, when they're on social media, they limit what they can do on social media, and we call it social media. So when you're engaging them on Facebook, engage them socially, not professionally. If you engage them on LinkedIn, engage them professionally, but from a social perspective, not I'm trying to get business from you. So you use it as a social touch. On average, it takes for a buying decision to be made, it takes 7 touches before somebody makes a buying decision. So you're trying to build trust with the contracting officer. Email them is part of your marketing. Connect with them on LinkedIn. That's another touch. Like what they like on a if you go to the groups that they're at and they're active in the group, join the same group that they're in, and then like what they like and comment. If they're making comments, like their comment, and that's another touch, right? That's how. And so by the time you send them a proposal, they feel like they know you. They feel like, oh, I trust this person, and so that's part of engaging people. And there's a lot of other techniques that we can do, but those are some practical ones there. Relationship building. Same thing with some of the marketing you're doing. Relationship building, there's specific things that you can do to foster trust and create relationships. Opportunity sourcing. You have to know how to source opportunity and how to write proposals. That's step number 9. Number 10 is you submit a proposal, you win a contract, you perform on it. So that's step number 10. You perform on it, deliver your product, deliver your services. Number 11, you have to be in compliance. If there's reports that you need to do, if there's documents that you need to submit, whether it's insurance, whether it is bonding documents, whether it is invoicing, get it done in compliance. And the closeout means you submit everything, and your goal in closeout is to make their job easy. That's your goal in closeout, and then you get paid. So these are the 12 steps you go through to engage them. So now let's sync them all up here. So you, as a vendor, you go through your 12 steps. And then from my perspective, I have my own perspective in terms of working with you, right? So as a vendor, you go through ASRM under preparation, you go through IM or ASR under preparation, those 4 steps. Assessment strategy, education, registration. Under promotion, you go through IMR. Under proposal, you go through O&P, and under performance, you go through PCC, right? So that's the 12 steps you go to. Your goal is to make a profit, to be profitable. My goal is during each phase of this step here, I work with you as a business owner, as part of our community, take you through these 12 steps, but from a different perspective. Now, from the government perspective, they go through their 10 steps. And in their 10 steps, they go through need, budget, forecast. That's under preparation. Under promotion, they go through a market survey. Under proposal, they go through solicitation, proposal, and award. And then under performance, they go through performance, compliance, and closure. So they have their own process. You have your own process. They got to merge together, right? And then their goal is project completion, because they don't care about profit. Your goal is profit. Their goal is project completion. My goal is to help you build a professional contracting department. So that's my goal here. Everybody have their own goals, but they all line up and sync together. So if you understand that, now let's tie all this here back to first quarter. So in the first quarter, the government has the need, the budget, and the forecast. So what should you do? So during this stage here, you're doing the assessment of where you're at, the strategy, the education, and the registration. So while the government is working through all these things here, you're building up this side of it. You have your own flow. In the second quarter, the government is doing the survey, the market study, and you're doing your image, marketing, and relationship building during this time here. In the third quarter, the government is going through solicitation, proposal review, and award. During this time here, you're sourcing opportunities and you're writing proposals. During the, so this is the third quarter. You're doing these two things here. Fourth quarter, the government goes through solicitation, proposal, award, performance, compliance, and closure. They're kicking off some project, and they're managing some work that's already been awarded in the third and previous quarters. But during this time here, you continue to look for opportunities and to continue to write proposals. And then you start to win, and so you're going to perform, and you're going to stay in compliance, and you're going to close up projects. But this is how you line up with the government during each of the cycle here. All right, so for fourth quarter. So what are your key initiatives during the fourth quarter? So this is what you have to do. You have to push to complete acquisition, or the government's goal during the fourth quarter is this year. They have to push to complete acquisitions that were started and that's allocated for this time frame, this fiscal year, and they must finish it before September 30th. If they don't finish it before September 30th, they go through some potential risk of losing their budget, right? So they review, the budget, and they identify what's been obligated and what we need to actually put out there. And they also use this time here in the fourth quarter to look at, okay, what have we done this year here, and what do we potentially need? And if we don't get these things funded, or if we don't get these things finished, we may not get funds for next year. So they have certain challenges that they have to go through the fourth quarter. And this is what we call use it or lose it, right? If they don't spend all of their budget allocation, then they may not get money next year for the same thing. And I have seen, because during this time here, contract officer gets a little frantic because they're like, man, I got all these projects I have to put out, and these must be done. So I've seen a few scenarios where contract officer will actually pick up the phone, call one of the company that, some of the companies that I've known, and say, hey, do you do audio visual? Do you do this or that? Because so they have some also discretionary funding left too, right? And the discretionary funding, they can do micro purchases, they can swipe credit cards, they can do simple sole source contracts. And so if you engage them during this time here, now when you're engaging them, be smart about it, right? Don't say, hey, this is the fourth quarter, what do you have for me? Don't do it that way. It's kind of like, that's a bad pickup line, right? If you go to a bar and you say, hey, I'm handsome, and don't you want to go on a date with me? That's not a good pickup line, right? And so when you engage them, just say, hey, I know we've talked a few times in the past. I've sent you a few emails. I just want to remind you that I'm still here. And I'm available to support you. And if you have any needs that you have during this time here, we have our 8A certification, we have our GSA schedule, and if there's any micro purchases, we can quickly respond to you. So something very simple like that, and engage them, send them your capability statement, very simple email like that will do. All right, your key initiative is this here. You gotta pump up the volume. You got to say, hey, I have to put out a lot of projects. Now, during the fourth quarter is not time to build relationships. It's time to market for the purpose of getting sole source contract. Email them for the purpose of alleviating their pain point. You're marketing for micro purchases, marketing for anything that they want to get off the table, get off their plate quickly. Part of the budget, it has to be spent, and so you're engaging them for that purpose there. And if you don't know anything else, just submit a whole bunch of proposals during this time here. Even if you're not the most qualified project. Now, on average, most projects receive about 6 to 7 proposals. That's it. Now, there may be some projects that there's 40 proposals that was submitted. But on average, most projects only receive about 6 or 7 proposals. So if you just submit a proposal, you have a chance of winning. I mean, the lottery is 1 out of billions. And some of you go out there on a weekly basis to buy lottery tickets. Well, your chances of winning a lottery ticket, very slim, almost impossible. It would be a miracle. 1 out of 6, man, that's pretty awesome. the odds are pretty good there. 15-20% chance of winning. That's pretty awesome. So, and you can't win if you don't bid, right? If you don't submit. So do that. And then also in the fourth quarter, you want to look for SAP, Simplified Acquisition Procedures. Now the threshold or SAT threshold is $250,000 or less. So anytime there's a project that's less than $250,000, the regulation says that it must go to a small business. And I assume all of you here today are small businesses. So during the fourth quarter, you want to engage a contracting officer and say, hey, if you have any SAP project, I want to let you know that I can respond very quickly. That's you want to say that. You speak their language. Don't say if you have any project that's fit for small businesses. That's fine too, but a better way is if you have any simplified acquisition procedures, we can respond very quickly to that. And you're speaking a language that they understand, and they will say, "Oh, wow, this company know how to speak Governese. I trust them more, right? Because it's the risk averse. So if you know how to speak the language, they're going to trust you more." Also, this is the time where you ask for sole source, and again, ask. You don't want to ask in a snobbish way, like, "Hey, I'm an 8A company, and you need me. You need to set aside, 23% to small businesses, and you need to award 5% to 8A company." No, don't do that. Just say, "Hey, we're really good at what we do, and I see that last year you awarded $250 million to the things that we need from your agency, and I also see a few things on your pipeline in forecast." Now, you don't want to say anything about projects that's already in RFP stages. Again, anything that's publicly available, don't mention that. You only mention things historical in the past or future that's about to come, but not anything that's on the street. That means if you say anything, "Hey, there's a RFP out there, can you sole source it to me?" That makes you look you don't understand the regulations. So don't do that there also. But if you say, "Hey, I see some forecast that's coming up in this next few weeks, or in this fourth quarter here, and would you consider sourcing this forecasted project to me?" And it's okay. It's forecast. You can do that. So ask for the sole source, but ask in a nice way, in a appropriate way. And sole source is direct award to you one company, price negotiation, no lengthy procurement process, and it's easy for them because they have a stack of projects they have to put out. I promise you, think of it, if you were the contracting officer and your supervisor said, "Billy Bob, you have to put out 30 projects in this last 3 months." You said, "Man, how am I going to get all that done in 3 months?" Well, one way is to do sole source contracts. That way you don't have to go through a procurement process. You don't have to read any proposals that's submitted. You only read one, the one that is through price negotiation. And then micro purchases. For some of you, you're in an industry that the average dollar size of contracts are smaller, and that if it falls under $10,000, that's treated as a micro purchase. Micro purchases, it's just a purchase order, PO, that's it, or a phone call, or a online purchase directly from your website. Some of you have products that can be sold through an e-commerce store on your website, and you don't list your products there. Well, you're missing out on micro purchases. If you sell any products that is less than $10,000, I highly recommend to put a online checkout process on your website. And you will be surprised that some contracting officer, when they need something, they would just buy it directly from the website, swipe a credit card, and it's done. Do that. If you are a small business, you have products that has value of $10,000 or less, make sure if you get nothing else out today, get an e-commerce shop going on your website so that they can buy from you through micro purchases. All right, awarded to, let's talk about what's awarded. On average, $500 billion every single year. DoD spends the most money. Most years, DoD spends 50% or more of all federal spending. And this year here, they did 64. of all federal spending. DOE is 5.4, VA is 5.1%, HHS is 4.7%, Homeland is 3.1. In the state of Georgia, the largest federal buyer in the state of Georgia is the CDC. In fact, for most years, it's about $67 billion. Last year actually was a lot higher because it was a COVID year for the CDC. These are some of the large companies that are actually selling to the CDC here. 60% of contracts are competitively awarded or are out for bid. So what happens in this area? The other 40% is either sole source, SAP through other means, or direct award or some other means. And so for the one that's openly competed, $330 billion for 21 million transactions or actions was competed. $190 billion or 925,000 projects was not competed. So during the fourth quarter, guess what? You want to be looking at no competition. That's really what you want to look for. That's your first option. Now, your second option is submit a whole bunch of proposals, right? Because the competition or the ones that's competed, you want to go after those as well. If you don't have relationships and you haven't done follow this fiscal year, this time is not the time to set up a meeting to build a relationship unless they ask for it. It is time to email them, but when you're emailing, it's not like, hey, I just want to send you a capability statement. That's not it. You want to say, hey, I see that there's 5 or 6 projects that's forecasted for the fourth quarter, and this specific project here, I'd like to see if you would consider sole sourcing it. And so you want to be specific. Don't just say, I'm here for sole source during the fourth quarter. That's, again, that doesn't come across strong, and that comes across inappropriate. You want to be specific. If you're talking about anything that's forecasted, again, you're fine. Yeah, and then relationship building, usually you do that during the first quarter, second quarter, maybe a little bit in the third quarter. But by the time the fourth quarter is here, these relationships, that's not what you're focused on anymore. You're aggregating the contracting officers, aggregating all these different personnel, so that you can do it in the first quarter, second quarter, and so the relationship building, fourth quarter, that's not the time to do it. All right, so let's we're wrapping up here. So if you're here, okay, we have a question here that says, do you need to have a proposal ready when asking if the project can be sole source? You do not need to have a proposal when you're looking for sole source. They will tell you, now you do have to write a proposal, even for a sole source contract, but you're the only proposal that's being submitted. So they will tell you, these are the requirements for this sole source here, and then your response to that is your proposal. And so you do write a proposal, but it's more like a sources sought response versus a full-blown proposal, like 200-300 pages. It's more of a sources sought, but it's still a proposal. So yes, you do need to write, but you don't need to have it in advance. It sounds counterintuitive, but not sure if the organization will want to see one. Okay, can you clarify that question a little bit more, Tanya? Because not quite sure what you mean by that right there. Okay, I answered the question earlier. Okay, great. All right, so now I'm going to share with you about an awesome program that we have to help businesses just like you guys. And all of you are here because you want to be successful in the government market. And what GSA did was we created a certified capture manager program. And this program is awesome. We've graduated about 76 students from the program. And so this is, this program here will change how you do business. So it's our CCM, or the Certified Capture Manager program. And if you are interested in growing your sales career as a salesperson, as a business development person, or as a program manager, project manager, or if you're a business owner and you're looking to win more contracts, you are a capture manager. And by by being in the government market, you're saying, I am a capture manager. We don't call it business development in the government space. We call it capture management. And so the person who's doing sales and business development is the capture manager. And so a capture manager is responsible for winning business in the government market. And they oversee the bid process, the teaming, the pricing, the proposal strategy, proposal writing, and also how to move forward for each bidding opportunities. And they help make the decision go or no go. So this is a very important position. And if you're trying to win contract, you're thinking like, why have not been successful to the point where I want to be? Because you don't have a capture process. We talk about a long fiscal year, a long buying process. And by becoming a certified capture manager, we teach you how to be a successful capture manager during each stage of the fiscal year itself. So what are the benefits of the CCM program? One is it distinguishes yourself from all of your peers. In fact, we've seen some larger companies when they're hiring, they're actually asking, we have a preference for people that are CCM certified, capture manager who have been certified through a program. It also helps your company to win more contracts. I mean, ultimately, that's it, right? You want to learn how to win contracts through the CCM program, and ultimately, that's your goal. And that's what this program is designed for, is to help you to do that. Also, to expand your knowledge. We're going to take a lot of information. 3 years of knowledge is shrink into a very short period of time for you. And also, you become a professional and you adhere to a professional standard and conduct, and you gain an edge on your competitors by being the program that has the potential to increase your income, not only the revenue of the business, but your personal income as well because of that. Now, if you are a business development or a salesperson in the government market, and you're not making $159,000 on average, capture managers are averaging $159,000. So if you're a business owner, you're saying, wow, I can hire a capture manager. Well, guess what? You train yourself to be a capture manager so you can save $159,000. If you were to go out there, if you just go to salary.com or glassdoor.com and put capture manager, and you're going to see for different states, like in Georgia, it may be a little bit lower. It may be in the $110,000 range. In Washington, D.C., I've seen it up to $250,000 for a capture manager. For some of you, if you're in sales and you're helping other companies, or if you're a coach or you're a consultant doing work in the government space, the CCM program is designed for you also so that you can increase your knowledge and you can get a better paying position. Help your company that you're working with so that they can increase your salary. The average sales salary is like $40,000, $50,000. And so by learning sales in the government space, it increases revenue for the company. And I promise you, if you help companies to win more contracts as a salesperson, they're going to increase your sales or increase your salary. So what will you receive in this CCM program here? It's 12 weeks of instructor-led training. We have our mastermind sessions every single week for 12 weeks. You get the Gov Fast Track software. I'll go into more about what that is in a second. You also have the Gov LMS, which is our learning management system, which is a self-study course, and it prepares you with information and with exam questions, samples, so that you can pass the exam at the end. We have a video course, online course to help you during this time. So you get live in-class training. You also get video training as well. And then we have a practice test portal for you. And then we have a Gov boot camp. At the end of 12 weeks, we have a boot camp. If it's in person, we usually do it in 1 day, but right now we're doing online, so we're going to break it into 2 nights, 6 to I think we did 5 to 8 p.m. 6 to 9, yeah, 6 to 9 p.m. For 2 nights. And so it's a 6-hour 2-day boot camp. And then you get the CMBOK exam at the end, and then you also get to network with professionals and other people. So with this here, one of the premier tools that you get is the Gov Fast Track software. And the Gov Fast Track software, it took me 4.5 years to create this here. I'm going to give you guys a quick demo of this here because when you see this here, you're like, wow, this is awesome. And for some of you who've seen it, you know how awesome it is already. But for those of you that have not seen it, govfasttrack.com, this is the software. But when you log in, it's going to take you inside the software. It's going to look like this here. And when you're inside the software, you're going to see that the software is broken up into exactly the 4 P's and the 12 steps that we talked about. Assessment. It talks about strategy. It talks about education and registration. We talk about these are the 12 steps that you have to go through as a business owner. So we take you through this step by step by step. And so what does that mean? So under assessment, we say, okay, get your business started. Do your business infrastructure. If you click on this, there's micro steps along this path here. So there's simple things, some things you already done, like get your EIN number. So if you've done it, just mark up 100%. And then we say, hey, order your corporate kit. Well, you say, well, what's a corporate kit? If you have it, great, mark up 100%. If you don't have it, we provide you links and resources. You see all these different links and resources here. It's available for you already, so you don't have to figure it out in the process. You click on this here, and it takes you where you can go order your corporate kit. And so the resources I've looked at over 20,000 websites in the years I've been doing government contracting work. So you don't have to visit 20,000 websites. Save you a lot of time. And in here we cover proposal writing. If you talk about proposal, we put in here resources. We talk about the 5 agreements that you need to have as a business owner. General teaming agreement. If you look at here, we put templates in here. You click on this here, there's a general teaming agreement because about 70% of project requires 2 or more companies to work together. You're going to need a team agreement. Well, we put in here a team agreement. So you click on it, it opens up as a Word doc. And then now all you have to do is come and read through it. If you want your attorney to review it, great. If you don't have an attorney, this is a document. Yeah, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to give you legal advice. But this is a sample. But this is the same documents that hundreds of other companies have used. So I can't speak to it because I'm not an attorney, but this is the same document that they have used. So it's tried and tested. And so you come in here, you read through it, change a few things that fits your situation. And at the end, you sign it and get your teaming partner to sign it, and you're done. This is the general team agreement. That's for you to come and work together. When you find a project that you actually want to work together, then you use the specific team agreement, which is this here. So this here is to submit when you're writing a proposal and you say, hey, I have a teaming partner. This is the document that you want to have, the specific team agreement. If you're working on bigger projects, the government calls it a contractor teaming agreement, which is the same thing as a specific team agreement. And so you add this document into, you get this here. So all of these attachments here, we have about 200 different attachments in here. Samples, examples, pricing samples, website samples, business card samples, capability statement samples, all of your marketing tools in here. Email samples. If you're going to email somebody, right, that goes under the promotion phase. So under promotion phase, we have creating your brand, your image. We talk about your capability statement. We put samples in here. Lots and lots of different samples in here. So this is the Gov Fast Track software. And in the CCM program, you get all of that. You get access to all of that there. It's part of the CCM program. And if you were to hire an attorney to write you a team agreement, guess what they're going to charge? About $2,000 for one contract. The software gives you not just the team agreement, but also the non-disclosure, the general team agreement, many other the subcontractor agreement as well, and plus many other different things, a mentor protege agreement, lots of different resources in there. So that's a quick live demo. We take you through 915 steps in the Gov Fast Track software. And so that's kind of what we go through when you're in the program. In the CCM program, we take you through all of those steps in 12 weeks. So there is a small investment you have to make to be in the CCM program. It's a $5,000 investment. We do have payment plans that's available if your budget is tight. And the way you enroll into it is go to capturemanagement.org. Capturemanagement.org. You can go there, read more details about the program. If you have questions, feel free to email us. If you're ready for it, go to capturemanagement.org and enroll directly from there. The program starts on July 20th, which is next Tuesday. So again, it starts on July 20th. That's what we do, the kickoff session. And so you want to go ahead and get ready for it. This is one of the most powerful programs out there that has empowered a small business owner just like you to be successful to win government contracts. Now, for those of you who say, hey, Abe, I'm just a micro business. I told you guys that what we do here at GCA, we're here for the small businesses. If you say, hey, I can't afford that, that's fine. We have a scholarship program. And the scholarship program is for $5,000 to cover the tuition in the program. But there's a few qualifications for this here. One is your business must be a micro business, meaning that your revenue is less than $100,000. Now, if you have 2-3 companies, don't send me the small business and say, hey, this company only have $10,000 revenue. Don't do that. This program is designed for those who really want to do this here, but don't have the resources to do it. And if you have the resources, get into the program. Invest in your business. We all understand that you when you invest, that's how you plant the seeds. That's how the seeds will grow and bear fruit year after year after year. So this is for really small businesses, $100,000 in revenue or less, and it's only for active GCA members. So if you're not an active GCA members, those that have invested in themselves of becoming a member of GCA, this scholarship, there's no cost to apply for the scholarship here, but you have to be an active GCA member. If you are a member of ABC, if you're a member of one of our partner organizations, your membership, you are a member of GCA, you get to benefit all the value, the classes, but you don't actually get to be in the program. You can come to the CCM classes because the CCM classes is open for GCA members, non-members, everybody. But the program to help you to learn, give you the software, the training, all of that is only available to those who are active members of GCA. So if you're not a member of GCA, govassociation.org, click join. Membership is $4.99 for the year, or if you want to do monthly, it's $79 a month. It's a very small investment. And then just complete the application. So qualification, very simple. Revenue and that. Now, when in the application, it requires you to write a short paragraph about yourself and your business, and then do a short video, like a 2-3 minute video of why you think this scholarship is a good fit for you and why the government market is a good fit for your business. And so very simple. The deadline for this here is July 18th. And so if you're interested in the scholarship, this is the form here. If you take an image of this, or if you go to govassociation.org/download, the PowerPoint slide is available there because this link here has a whole bunch of little crazy numbers behind it, so it may be hard to type that in. But if you get the PowerPoint, or actually we're going to send out an email later on after this event here. So look out. It's going to come from GoToWebinar via GCA. If you see an email from GoToWebinar, click on it because we're going to put this same link back onto it. And so you'll have access to it that way as well. Now, this program here is to honor one of our GCA founding partners here. Myra Cisse, she passed away last year, July of last year. So she's been a really great champion for the small business community. When she passed away, we said, hey, we want to honor her. We want to, she's lived her life to support the small business community. She was a banker, and she left being a banker to help the small business community, help them get certifications, help them win contracts. And so when she passed away, we said, hey, we want to honor her by creating a memorial scholarship in her name. And so we're going to award 2 scholarships on July 18th. And so not just 1, but 2 in her name there. And so go ahead and if you interested in the program, go ahead and fill out the form. All right. So for those of you who stay to the very end, I have a free gift for you. In fact, I have a few other bonuses for you too. But if you stay to the end, this is how you get it. Um, and I appreciate all of you staying to the end. And so, but before I talk about the free gift, I want to see if there's any questions about the CCM program, any questions about the scholarship, any questions about anything that we've covered today, and then I'll talk about your free bonus in a second. So any questions about what we've covered fiscal year, any clarifications about strategies, techniques, any questions about the CCM program, any questions about the scholarship? Y'all just ready to get to the free gift. Okay, I see. I see what y'all about. This is your time to ask questions. So one of the questions is, when is the next CCM program? We do this here about every 7 to 8 months. So if you don't get into this program here, you're gonna have to wait about another 7, 8 months. And so it's and so time is time is of the essence. If you're interested, yes, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. The way the program works is we meet every Tuesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in the West Coast, or if you're in a different time zone, we meet from 6 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. If it's a holiday, we do skip a week, or every now and then we may take a break during the 12-week cycle, but usually we're on it for about 12 weeks or so. Any other questions? Okay, so if you miss a class, we do record the sessions because 12 weeks go by very fast. And so if you miss a class and you're flying somewhere or something like that, we record it. You do have a business coach also in the program, and so your business coach can kind of get with you slightly different time to kind of quickly refresh you what we covered, and then that way you can kind of get caught up. But we record all the sessions, so if you miss it, you can make up the work. Okay, well, if you have other questions, type it in, but let's talk about your free gifts here. So since you stayed to the end, I'm going to give you guys a capability statement samples, templates. So this is how you get it. Go to govassociation.org/capability statement, and you can get, we have like, 2 samples there in Word. One is in Word doc, one is in PowerPoint, so that you can quickly clean up your capability statement. If your capability statement does not look good, these are not as professional as a graphic designer can make it bells and whistles and nice for you, but they're really nice and clean, and so you can kind of use this as a next iteration of your capability statement. If yours is not that great looking, it's free to you guys to use. Just go here, click capability statement, and then download the documents from here. Free gift at the end. I told you guys that if you stay to the end, I'm going to show you how to get a copy of a winning proposal, $20 billion winning proposal. So this is how you get it. For those of you that came and stayed to the end, in fact, you don't need to email us. We're going to email you with the link to this proposal here. So if you need it, hurry. If you want it quickly, email us, info@govcontractors.org. But we will automatically email it to you after this class. We're going to email you all the links that we covered today, and make sure it's going to come from the automated response from GoToWebinar. So if you see an email from GoToWebinar, make sure you click it, because it's going to show you how it's going to give you the link to the sample proposal here. So make sure you open that email. If you don't see it in the next 24 hours, shoot us an email at info@govcontractors Maybe you missed it somehow, or it went to spam or something like that there. But you can get a copy. This proposal is in Word doc, so you can actually look through it, read through it, copy some of it, change it to your own verbiage, and use it on your next project. So as we're wrapping up here, feel free to type any last minute questions for you. I'm going to talk about Barbara. Barbara actually came to a class like this here, but she enrolled in our training program. And when she graduated from a training program, the CDC invited her to a capability debrief. And Barbara said, "Hey, I don't know if I should go because they're asking for waste remediation." And I said, "What? You don't want to go?" She said, "Yeah, because I don't do waste remediation." And I said, "Barbara, you're a janitorial company. So as a janitorial company, they go in, they clean, they take out trash, and that's what they do. Waste remediation is you go in, you take the not necessarily just the trash, but other things besides trash, and you recycle it. And so it's the recycling part that she said she doesn't do. So I said, Barbara, we just need to find a teaming partner for you and take the meeting. We'll find a teaming partner. So she said, yeah, I'll come meet with the CDC. So she went in, met with the CDC, brought a teaming partner with her. We created a nice, beautiful capability brief. In fact, in the Gov Fast Track software, we have samples of capability brief. Capability brief is like your capability statement turned into a PowerPoint. So we actually have a sample in there. And so Barbara, took her capability brief, went and met with the CDC. She spoke about all of the things she did, and then she said, "I'm going to have our teaming partner talk about how we do waste remediation." The teaming partner talked about recycling, how they recycle computers, how they recycle boxes and paper and plastic and other things. And about a month and a half later, after that capability brief, she got an award for $3.7 million, sole source to her as an 8A company. Powerful, awesome day for her. But she took the things that she learned, she invested in her business, came to class, graduated from the program. So that's Barbara. This is Buki. Buki enrolled in our training program. Buki is a Motivate. I remember the first time I met Buki. She was a solopreneur working from her home, trying to grow her company. And our first strategy for Buki is I said, hey, let's go and work on some subcontracting project. And so she went and there was a prime that won marketing for the Army. It's a 6-week project. And every 6 week, it's $60,000 every single 6 weeks. Well, they awarded the subcontracting to her, the prime did, and they have re-awarded that project to her over 30 times. So you do the math on that. 30 times 60,000, because they need media buys and social media services every single. They did it in 6 weeks chunks. And so she's very proud of what she's done. She actually got a sole source contract. She's won other contracts, and so she's taken her business, moved it along the way. I remember one of a great day for her was when she left her home office and went and got a real office. This is an image of her in her real office, nice brass or steel business name. The congressman from her area came and did the grand opening with her. So it was awesome to go there and celebrate with her on her grand opening day, brand new office. But that's what I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask me any final questions at this time here. If not, this is our contact information. Look for the email from us. We will send you email with all the links that we covered today, how to access the K-bill statement samples, how to access the $20 billion winning proposals, and as well as the $5,000 scholarship program. And for those of you who's interested in the program, go ahead and enroll. Enroll, invest your business. You're going to thank me later. In fact, one of the young ladies, I think she's on the call tonight also, she thanked me tonight when she said, Abe, I won a $125,000 project. thanks to GCA, thanks to what you guys have done to support the small business community. And we're here for you. We are your voice. And I'll leave all of you with this here. You are one contract away from the challenges that you're facing. You're one contract away from another office. You're one contract away from your next employee, hiring a new employee. You're one contract away from your dreams, from your next vacation. Don't stop. The only companies that don't win government contracts are those that quit along the way or those that don't start. So keep going on this journey here, and happy hunting in the fourth quarter. Submit a lot of proposals. Glad all of you are here with me tonight, and all the best to you during this time here. Until next time, see you at another training of GCA.